You're welcome back to the conversation on New Central Television. I am Gbenga Aborowa, and I also have here with me Rita Omodia. Rita, it's an absolute pleasure to have you back.
Thank you so much, Gbenga. I must say that in Lagos, Nigeria, you can never trust the roads. That's what I would just say.
Tell me about it.
Well, anyways, you had conversations on the Kenya elections, of course, the independent electoral commissioners who are having their petition, especially those who did not sanction the president's, the election results.
High-stake drama in Kenya, I tell you, and the lawyers representing the commissioners stormed out of parliament yesterday. So we've not seen the last of that. We'll see how it pans out.
So we have from the Election Commission, and right now we're switching gears to Sierra Leone, where we also have drama in the parliament, drama in the Electoral Commission. But right now, let's switch gears to Sierra Leone, where members of parliament in the West African nation of Sierra Leone engage in a physical fight after disagreeing on a new electoral system. Now, video footage showed the lawmakers exchanging punches and shouting inside the parliament building. The parliamentarians were also throwing a huge object that is identified as the parliamentary mace from one side of the chamber to the other and then back. Now, members from the governing and opposition parties were pitted against each other over a plan to bring in proportional representation for next year's local and parliamentary elections, excluding presidential polls. The ruling party supports the move, but opposition claims it would be unconstitutional when the government backs the plan. However, for it to be passed, it requires parliamentary approval. Men in suits in the Parliamentary House of Sierra Leone. Well, joining us to discuss all this and find out why exactly it dissolved into such a situation like that, we have Sallieu, Tejan, Jalloh, the Times SL newspaper publisher for Freetown, Sierra Leone. Thank you so much, Sallieu, for joining us on this conversation.
Thank you for having me. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. So first off, what does this proportional representation entail, and why has it been branded unconstitutional by the opposition? Because that's one of the major reasons we see as the reason for the brawl at the Parliamentary House. So why has it become so contentious among the opposition parties?
Well, the issue of the proportional representation, as we all see, it has to do with when you talk of gerrymandering. Gerrymandering in the sense. Are you getting me loud and clear?
Yes, please, go on.
I said the issue of proportional representation, the opposition party is saying the ruling party is taking undue advantage of their position as a governing party to do things against the Constitution of Sierra Leone. Section 38 of the Public Election Act speaks about the issue that has to do with proportional representation. But in this case, what the Constitution says is that you can go ahead to do proportional representation in the situation wherein there are no constituencies and areas are unreached. So before this time, we had the proportional representation in one of our elections in 2002, 1996 and 2002. We had a proportional representation. But during those periods, we were just coming from war, and there were rich areas. There were no constituencies, there were no wards, and all the sorts of this. But in a case now where you have constituencies, you have wards, you have districts, the opposition is saying there is no need for the ruling government to come up with a proportional representation, which is also known as a block system, a district block system. So this is the problem that the opposition members of parliament and that of the ruling government in the House of Parliament, and as I speak, Sierra Leone Parliament, Honorable Pan Umar Tarawali has issued a release claiming that what transpired in the well of parliament. Some items were destroyed, and that it amounts to over 200 million leus, which is like over 10,000 United States dollars. And that members of the opposition who were caught in the middle of that skirmishes are to pay for the items.
Sorry, Sallieu, was it just members of the opposition that were involved in this? Because you're saying now that the members of the opposition are supposed to pay for the damages. Were they the only ones involved in this brawl?
Or were they fighting themselves?
Well, it was a fighting between the opposition and the ruling parties. But the clerk in the House of Parliament has put out a release stating that the items destroyed and that the opposition MPs are to pay for those items.
Okay.
And the amount, according to the release put out by the clerk of parliament, he says it's over 200 million leus, which is equivalent to like 20,000 United States dollars.
I'm sure we've not seen the last of this, and it would also be contested what the clerk of the House said. But let's go back to the proportional representation system. How did parliamentary proceedings end yesterday, and how do you get past this highly contentious hurdle? Because no one wants to back off. The opposition is saying, no, you can't do this, and the ruling party seems to want to have its way. So how do you move beyond this, and has there been any compromise?
Well, we've experienced a situation in this country where most of the legislation being passed in the House of Parliament, there have been issues about the opposition objecting on certain legislation. Take, for instance, even the midterm census result that was put out, the opposition was against it, saying that there was no need for a census to be put out when we already exceeded the midterm. And according to the 1991 Constitution, conducting a census is within every 10 years. But in this case, it exceeded over 10 years, and it was like 4 years after the current government has stayed in power, and they go about to conduct this census. So all these things have boiled up to be an issues of concerns being raised by members of the opposition. And the proportional representation now, as we speak, is being contended, and the oppositions are saying that they are not going by that one, and that the ruling government want to take undue advantage of their position so as to see that they will put the opposition parties in a disadvantaged position. So the more reason why the opposition parties are against this proportional representation.
Okay, now, Sallieu, elections are just months away, 2023. Now, this Public Elections Act 2022 is an amendment of the 2012 Public Elections Act. Is there any reason why we're having this amendment, and does the Constitution allow for it?
Yeah, the reason for the amendment is as a result of gerrymandering. You know, in African politics, political parties may want to gain favor whenever there are elections, and as a result of this, the ruling party is taking this to be on their own advantage, and giving credence to the proportional representation. People are of the opinion that it will create a situation wherein the political parties will have more say than the people voted. The people voted. That's the electorate I'm talking about. Because before this time, we have the 77K in the 1991 Constitution, which states that members of parliament elected into the House of Parliament to ensure they go by the dictates of the 77K, which you should represent the interests of your political party as against the interests of the nation. So in a situation wherein the political parties will have a say on those who will be elected into the House of Parliament, it creates more problem for the electorates themselves. And people will begin to see that the government is about to silence dissenting views
Hello, Sallieu, are you there? Sallieu, can you unmute your device, please?
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, hello?
Yes, we can hear you. Please go on.
Hello? Yeah, I said the more reason why members of the public are against it, because the constituents, they believe that when they elect their own members of parliament, they will know the members of parliament that is representing their constituency. But under this proportional representation, it will be difficult for you to identify your own members of parliament, because it's going to be in a situation where the political parties will list the names of people to be voted for as members of parliament. And in this case, the person who will lobby through the political party that he belongs might have a better state as far as the election is concerned. So the members of parliament themselves within the ruling party, some of them are not happy about this situation, but they have no option other than just to support it. Because I've had discussion with few of them who are afraid that if they go ahead with this, some of them might lose their seat. They will not come back in the House of Parliament. But they have no option than to support their party, who happens to be the governing party as we speak.
All right, now, Sallieu, if you can hear us, we saw the opposition leader of the Sierra Leone parliament. I mean, while we're talking about the elections, now he demanded an audit of the voters registered. Now, there were some issues with the voter register, especially with the demand for the NIN before they can say that voters have been registered. Now, the opposition leader of the Sierra Leone parliament also said that about 250,000 registrants were deleted from the National Voter Register just before the 2023 elections. Has there been any investigation into this?
Well, this has also been a public concern, because before this time, the National Electoral Commission, they've told the public that their system is so effective that, that it is difficult for one to tamper with the system. So in a situation wherein the voter registration, and with their own release that there has been double registration, there have been underage registrations, people are begin to question the authenticity of those results, because they've raised concern before this time that the Electoral Commission Sierra Leone is not independent in the way it handles election affairs, as a majority of the citizens have been disenfranchised for them to be registered. Take, for instance, first-time voters who are to qualify the voting age before the June 2023 election. Majority of them were denied access to be registered, and as a result of this, they see it as a plot by the government to also disenfranchise people who they believe are within the stronghold of the opposition political parties.
All right, thank you so much, Sallieu, for this conversation. Of course, we look forward to how preparations are going for the June 2023 elections. Thank you so much for joining us on this conversation.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, in Sierra Leone, they'll be having the elections in June 2023, and discussions are about the power, especially the president, Julius Maada Bio, holding a second term in office. And this as well, unfortunately, will draw the curtains for today's edition of The Conversation. On the first half, we dealt with situations in Kenya where election matters are not over, and there's a dispute over the sack of the independent electoral commissioners who disputed the election result of the president, William Ruto. And right now, we just finished discussions in Sierra Leone, where the opposition, we saw a brawl in the parliamentary house over a proportional representation for the elections, for the parliamentary elections and the local government elections, but excluding the presidential elections. Do join us again next week for another edition of The Conversation. I am Rita Omodia.
And I'm Gbenga Aborowa. Thank you very much for being a part of the program. Bye.